Imagine waking up one day with the sudden realization that the life you're living might not be entirely your own. Every decision you've made, every belief you hold, even the deepest desires that drive you, may not have originated from within your true self. They might be the result of expectations, conventions, and the unseen influence of the world around you. Take a moment to consider how much of your personality is a reflection of your authentic self, and how much is a carefully crafted mask shaped by external pressures. How often do you feel like you're simply playing a role, existing according to a script written by society, upbringing, or the fears that whisper in the back of your mind? Today, we delve into one of Carl Jung's most profound revelations, the idea that life truly begins only when you find yourself. But what does it really mean to find yourself? Is it simply gaining self-awareness, or is there a deeper, more transformative process yet to be uncovered? As we journey deeper into the invisible forces that meticulously shape the human essence, we'll gain insight into why so many never truly find themselves, and the path to breaking free from this fate. The culminating realization will be the most powerful revelation, capable of transforming not only your perception of yourself, but also how you interact with the world around you. Carl Gustav Jung, a distinguished pioneer of depth psychology, was a thinker whose explorations extended far beyond conventional theories of the mind, delving into the vast and hidden realms of the unconscious. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Jung did not reduce psychological well-being to mere adaptation to societal norms. He viewed psychological growth as a unique journey toward individuation, the process of becoming an authentic individual, free from externally imposed roles and masks. However, the harsh reality is that most people never dare to embark on this transformative journey. They remain trapped in the version of themselves that was molded by external factors, like puppets controlled by the strings of others' expectations. They live according to societal prescriptions, never questioning whether their existence aligns with their true essence. In the pursuit of external approval, they mistakenly believe that happiness lies in recognition, success, or conformity. But deep down, a quiet rebellion brews, an unwavering sense of dissatisfaction, a feeling that something vitally important is missing. Jung argued that a genuine life begins only when a person stops running from themselves, when they find the courage to face their fears and embrace their uniqueness. Before we delve into the deeper meaning of self-identification, it's essential to recognize the obstacles that stand in the way of most people achieving this goal. From the moment an individual is born, the process of conditioning begins, imbuing them with a name, a social role, and a predetermined identity. From an early age, individuals are instructed, defining the boundaries of what is acceptable and unacceptable, what is encouraged and punished. This process is so delicate and gradual that it is rarely subjected to critical analysis. Individuals adapt to society, conform to its norms, and gradually learn to suppress those aspects of their personality that do not align with societal expectations. Reflecting on childhood, one can recall moments when the free expression of oneself met with disapproval. Perhaps there were calls to be more realistic, less sensitive, and certain emotions and desires were deemed inappropriate. Over time, individuals learn to hide these parts of themselves, concealing them from prying eyes, thereby forming a mask that Carl Jung called the persona. The persona is the social face that an individual presents to the world. It allows them to function in society, build relationships, and gain recognition. However, the stronger the identification with this mask, the more the connection with the true self is lost. Individuals begin to believe that they are this persona, forgetting about the existence of a deeper essence beneath it. However, every coin has a reverse side, and in the context of the human psyche, that side is the shadow. If the persona represents the carefully constructed image that we present to the world, then the shadow, on the other hand, is the repository of everything we diligently conceal. In its depths lie our hidden fears, unrealized desires, vulnerabilities, and even untapped potential. It's important to understand that the shadow doesn't disappear with the wave of a magic wand simply because we turn away from it. It continues its insidious existence, influencing our thoughts, actions, and emotional reactions, like a puppeteer pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Those aspects of our personality that we reject do not dissolve into oblivion but manifest in circuitous ways, often in the form of projections. Have you ever experienced an inexplicable antipathy towards someone, unable to find a rational explanation for your feelings? Or perhaps you've been deeply affected by certain behaviors of others, triggering a storm of emotions. Carl Jung, the eminent Swiss psychiatrist and psychologist, argued that when we are irritated by certain qualities in others, it is often a reflection of those same qualities dormant in our own shadow. What if we entertain the idea that deep within the shadow lies a precious key to understanding the true essence of ourself? Those very aspects of personality that one has diligently suppressed and stubbornly ignored are not necessarily one's worst enemies. Rather, they are the missing links needed to achieve wholeness of nature. Jung's brilliant insight was that psychological perfection is by no means the elimination of the shadow, but its organic integration. It's about bravely peering into the darkest depths of one's own unconscious and boldly facing what was previously denied. For only then will an inexhaustible source of personal strength, genuine authenticity, and long-awaited freedom be revealed. This is where the real, exciting journey to oneself begins. Is one ready to courageously face the truth in order to break free from the shackles of illusions that have shaped them for so long? After all, what happens next will challenge everything one has ever known about oneself and open the door to a life that truly belongs to them. Most people live their days naively believing that they already know for sure who they are. They define themselves through name, profession, cultural affiliation, and past experiences. But what if we assume that a person's personality is much more complex and multifaceted than they are used to thinking? That the self they consider themselves to be is just a superficial construct, only a small fraction of a much deeper and more fundamental reality. In the depths of the human psyche, according to Carl Jung, lies an unexplored universe, a complex inner world that holds the shadows of forgotten memories, repressed feelings, unrealized aspirations, and dormant potential. True self-knowledge, therefore, lies not in constructing a new personality, but in uncovering the treasures that are buried within ourselves. Take a moment to think. Haven't you ever felt an inexplicable longing for something more, a premonition of a more perfect version of yourself, yearning for manifestation? This is not just a figment of the imagination, but a call from the depths of the unconscious, calling for new achievements. Jung called this process individuation, arguing that true harmony is achieved not through conformity to external standards, but through the unification of all facets of personality, both light and dark. However, before proceeding with this integration, it is necessary to bravely face one's inner demons. It is at this stage that many fail. The reason is simple. It is unpleasant to encounter oneself, to look into those aspects of personality that have long been ignored. This requires revising established beliefs, overcoming fears, and resolving internal conflicts that have shaped one's life path. Consider how often modern people seek to escape from silence, filling every waking moment with a stream of information and entertainment. Work, social networks, and continuous multimedia content become a kind of shield, preventing one from being alone with one's thoughts. This escape from the inner world is not accidental, but a defense mechanism designed to protect against encountering the deep questions hidden in the subconscious. However, no matter how hard one tries to avoid meeting oneself, suppressed aspects of personality do not disappear without a trace. They manifest as anxiety, self-destructive behavior, unsatisfactory relationships, and a sense of being lost. Psychologist Carl Jung argued that the unconscious is constantly trying to convey its messages to us, but modern people have learned to ignore them. Nevertheless, if one begins to listen to oneself, one can see patterns. Notice how old emotional wounds affect choices, how suppressed desires shape behavior, and how what causes the greatest fear often contains the most valuable lessons. Take, for example, the fear of being rejected. Many people live in constant fear of being judged or abandoned. They seek approval, avoid conflict situations, and suppress their true feelings in order to maintain the illusion of harmony. But where does this fear come from? Is it really related to the opinions of others, or do its roots go deeper? Perhaps it is an old emotional trauma experienced in childhood, a moment when one felt unneeded or unworthy of love. Jung would say that this fear is not just an emotion, but a shadow side of personality that has not been recognized and accepted. As long as this aspect remains in the shadows, unilluminated by conscious awareness, it will continue to govern a person's actions. What's truly remarkable is that when an individual dares to confront their hidden aspects, those aspects lose their former power. Imagine a life free from the oppressive fear of judgment, where one can speak the truth without reservation and make decisions guided by their inner voice, not the expectations of others. This is the power of individuation, not becoming a new person, but revealing one's true self in its entirety. But how does one begin this journey? How does one unlock the unconscious forces that shape our destiny? Carl Jung believed that symbols, dreams, and self-analysis are among the most effective ways to access the unconscious. He viewed dreams as messages from the deeper layers of the psyche, revealing hidden truths about our inner world. Jung also emphasized the importance of creative expression, art, literature, music, and other forms of self-exploration as pathways to the unconscious and its integration into conscious life. However, perhaps the most crucial step is mindfulness. The moment a person begins to question their thoughts, reactions, and deeply ingrained beliefs, they embark on a path of transformation. When they stop running from discomfort and start meeting it with curiosity, they gradually reclaim their authentic self. The truth of life often eludes most people, who live their days as strangers in their own inner world. They trudge along well-worn paths, unaware of their dormant ability to choose a different path. By suppressing their true essence, they fail to realize that their true strength lies in accepting themselves in their entirety. However, fate does not compel everyone to follow this sad destiny. Within each person lies the power to break free from the illusions that have long held them captive, to shed the shackles of conditioning and fears that have prevented them from living a full, rich life, and to step into the possession of their true self, fearlessly and without a shadow of a doubt. In the following narrative, we will delve into even more intimate spheres of human existence, the hidden archetypes residing in the depths of the subconscious. These ancient patterns, rooted in the very psyche, hold the key to unlocking the inexhaustible potential dormant within each of us. The revelations that await are capable of forever changing the perception of oneself. If the journey to self-discovery were as simple as making a decision, the world would be full of people living in harmony with their true nature. But as reality shows, this process is much more complex. It involves not only choosing the desired role, but also uncovering the forces that shaped the personality, confronting the rejected aspects of oneself, and integrating them into a unified, whole, and authentic self. However, a logical question arises. What makes us strive for certain actions, experience specific desires, or succumb to fears? Why does humanity repeatedly make the same mistakes or find itself in predictable situations, even when striving for change? The answer, proposed by Carl Jung, was a real revolution in psychology. He argued that within each individual lie universal patterns of behavior, deeply rooted psychological schemes that influence the course of thoughts, emotional reactions, and actions, often unconsciously. Jung termed these stable patterns archetypes. According to the Swiss psychiatrist, archetypes are ancient collective images stored in the so-called collective unconscious, a level of the psyche common to all humanity, inherited from the experience of previous generations. These archetypes have a formative impact on personal identity, interpersonal relationships, and even on the perception of the surrounding reality. As an illustration, consider examples from world history: the image of the hero embarking on a journey, the wise mentor, the cunning villain, the naive child. These characters are invariably present in myths, religious teachings, literary works, and even in dreams. They are not mere fictions, but represent psychological forces existing within each of us. Whether a person realizes it or not, these archetypes constantly manifest in their life. Imagine the archetype of the hero living in the depths of the human soul. This is an unquenchable desire for a high goal, a call to action, requiring a person to leave their mark on history. The hero yearns to overcome obstacles, become stronger with each trial, and reach new heights of self-improvement. However, this archetype never exists in isolation. It is invariably accompanied by the shadow, the dark side of the personality, storing suppressed desires and hidden fears. In the shadows lie weaknesses, complexes, and even unrealized potential that a person fears to reveal. In myths and legends, the hero must engage in battle with their shadow, often represented as a monstrous enemy or a complex trial. Only by defeating it can they gain the opportunity for further development and spiritual growth. But how does this ancient struggle manifest in modern life? Surely everyone has encountered a situation where they realized the need for change, but faced internal resistance. Perhaps an opportunity arose to become better, but fear, doubt, or a tendency toward self-destruction prevented them from taking that step. This is the age-old battle between the hero and the shadow, unfolding in the depths of human consciousness. Many make the fatal mistake of trying to suppress their shadow, ignoring its existence. However, Carl Jung, the eminent Swiss psychologist and philosopher, argued that true transformation is only possible when a person accepts their shadow, not rejecting it, but extracting valuable lessons from it. Integrating the shadow is a path to wholeness and harmony, allowing one to use hidden resources and unlock the full potential of the personality. Imagine a situation where a person is tormented by doubts about their own abilities. Instead of brushing aside this feeling or pretending it doesn't exist, a follower of Jung would advise asking themselves, what are the roots of this insecurity? Is it truly a personal experience, or was it imposed by past experiences, societal pressure, or the opinions of others? What valuable lessons can be learned from this situation? Perhaps behind the mask of doubt lies an inner strength, such as humility, the ability to self-analyze, or the ability to see the world from different points of view. When a person begins to perceive their difficulties not as a manifestation of weakness, but as signals sent by the unconscious, a radical change in worldview occurs. However, archetypes are not limited to the hero and the shadow. Within each of us, there are many other forces, each of which plays a role in shaping individuality. One of the most significant is the archetype of the anima and animus. Jung argued that in the soul of every man lies a hidden feminine essence, the anima, and in the soul of every woman lies a hidden masculine essence, the animus. This is not about gender in the physical sense, but about the harmony of energies within us. The anima represents intuition, emotionality, creativity, and a close connection with the unconscious. The animus, in turn, symbolizes logic, structure, discipline, and perseverance. In moments of harmony between these two essences, a person feels inner integrity, but discord between them creates deep inner conflict. As an example, a man who suppresses his anima may face difficulties in expressing emotions, fearing the manifestation of vulnerability, which he mistakenly perceives as weakness. On the other hand, a woman who denies her animus may experience hesitation and uncertainty in making decisions, which prevents her from feeling full control over her own life. However, when these energies are accepted and integrated, rather than suppressed, they become an inexhaustible source of strength and inspiration. This fact leads to one of the most significant truths discovered by Jung. To achieve true self-knowledge, it is necessary to accept all aspects of one's personality, including light and darkness, masculine and feminine principles, the known and the unknown. Individuation is not a process of turning into something else, but rather the unveiling and acceptance of one's wholeness. But there is another key element to this puzzle, a final revelation that brings everything together and possesses immense power. After all, the biggest obstacle to self-knowledge is not simply fear, insecurity, or the influence of external factors. It is something much deeper, hidden in the very structure of our perception of reality. And in the next section, we will reveal this secret. The information to be learned has the potential to challenge established ideas about oneself and perhaps change life forever. In this exciting journey, the hidden forces that influence the formation of personality have been closely examined, namely, the masks that skillfully hide the true face, the shadow that is carefully suppressed in the depths of the subconscious, and the archetypes that subtly direct thoughts and actions. However, now is the time to confront the most insidious and profound illusion, the illusion of the self. The vast majority of people live their lives with an unwavering belief that their personality is something fixed and unchanging, a single and indivisible self that relentlessly moves through time, shaped by memories and experiences. However, Carl Jung, like many outstanding philosophers and mystics, came to the realization of a radical truth. The self is not a static and isolated entity, but something fluid, changeable, and infinitely greater than commonly believed. What if the version of yourself that you currently identify with is just a small part of something much grander and more comprehensive? What if the person you believe yourself to be is merely one of countless manifestations of boundless consciousness evolved over centuries, inheriting the wisdom and experience of generations? Jung explored this idea through the concept of the self, not the small, egocentric I clinging to labels and consumed by fears, but the true self, representing the totality of everything that constitutes your personality, transcending the illusory identity. This realization is both liberating and awe-inspiring. After all, it implies that everything you believed you were, all your fears and limitations, all the stories you tell yourself, are just part of the truth, a temporary construct erected by the mind. At the very core of existence lies a profound truth. You are not just an isolated unit trudging along life's path, but a vast, interconnected field of consciousness. This field holds the wisdom accumulated over generations, the immeasurable depth of the unconscious, and the inexhaustible potential for transformation, capable of surpassing even the wildest fantasies. However, a natural question arises. If this is indeed the case, why do people feel so constrained? Why are they tormented by suffering, doubts, and fears? The answer lies within the ego. The ego is not a malicious enemy, but simply the part of the mind that generates a sense of separation and distinctness. It is the voice in your head that proclaims, "This is who I am, and this is who I will never be." The ego erects walls, draws boundaries, and keeps you trapped in familiar patterns of behavior. While the ego serves a certain function, it is also the main obstacle on the path to genuine self-discovery. For, in essence, you are not limited to a single predetermined identity. You are a being in a continuous process of evolution and transformation. The moment you stop clinging to the idea of who you think you are, boundless horizons of possibilities open up before you. How can you take this challenging but crucial step beyond the artificial I and experience the fullness of your being. Carl Jung proposed a method that requires considerable courage, a close look within yourself, and a willingness to discard old notions of your own personality. First and foremost, you must embrace the unknown. Most people fear what is unclear to them, as it is associated with uncertainty. However, it is precisely in the unknown that the potential for personal growth and profound change lies. Stop resisting internal mysteries and instead delve into their exploration with curiosity. This will allow you to see the world and yourself from a completely new angle. Next, you must free yourself from imposed labels. You are not just a name, a profession, a past, or a set of personality traits. You are something much more, something that defies simple definition. Rejecting rigid frameworks of self-identification opens up space for the manifestation of something larger and more meaningful. Finally, it is important to learn to listen to the voice of the unconscious. Dreams, instincts, and deep intuitive insights are not random occurrences, but messages from the self, guiding you towards wholeness. By developing receptivity to these signals, you begin to notice patterns, synchronicities, and signs that point the way to your true purpose. And finally, you must fully surrender to this process. The search for the authentic self is not a final goal, not a triumph after which you can forget everything. It is an endless journey, revealing ever new horizons of truth, like peeling layers from an onion. And here is the final revelation. You were never truly lost. You have always been here, in the present moment. The very self you have been so desperately seeking has been inside you all along, waiting only for the moment you remember it, like an old friend. So now a crucial choice stands before each of you. Will you continue to exist as a fragment of your true essence, bound by the chains of past fears and illusory illusions? Or will you dare to step towards